Hello, everyone. I'm Paul, founder at Sablier, and I will talk about the past, present, future of money streaming. Um, and with this presentation, I wanted to take a step back and look at the broad picture and understand how recurring payments evolved through ancient history. How big the subscription economy is today, and how could that evolve differently thanks to money streaming. And we'll first look at the past, because when you think about money or ancient money, the first thing that pops is coins, metals, collectibles. Certainly not this dynamic world of subscription or recurring payments. However, so that was because physical money was hard to store and clunky to move around. And in spite of that, the economy still wanted to see the money moving. We have interesting examples here from 200 BC, where Carthage was paying Rome 200 talents of silver every year. And 1 talent of silver, if you don't know, it's 32 kilograms. And that was a huge money that they had to pay on a recurring basis. But given that the money was physical, that was very hard to do. Then a little bit later, moguls like Crassus and Cicero were selling houses on installment plans. And I suppose that was clunky and very weird to collect. And later down the line, through the Middle Ages, the feudal system kicked off this rent system where the freemen were paying rent on a monthly basis again. So what we see there is recurring payments evolved as a natural technology that had three properties. The first one was money or memory, which is a reason why you entered the contract in the first place. Then was the value exchange property, which means that you have to give something of value in exchange for money. And finally, the trust. And this is the key one for the old type of subscriptions, because when you have subscriptions that are 1 year apart or a month apart, you have to trust that in that interval, your counterparty will keep their promises. So we have these three properties. In the present, of course, since the 20th century, the banking system created subscriptions and made it very easy to start a subscription with a company, where anyone in the world. So you have mortgages, you have memberships, you have software as a service, which is big, you have boxes, you have e-commerce, entertainment, and salaries. And this all is natural, right? Everybody has a subscription today. Something around 3 in 4 Americans have at least one subscription active, and the market cap of SaaS companies in 2018 is around 134 billion. And it's not just subscriptions in the context of business and startups. It's also about the economy as a whole, right? So if you think about the modern economy, the velocity of money is very high. So money is flowing around very fast. And there is this thing called the MONIAC, that stands for Monetary National Income Analog Computer, that was a creation by an economist in 1999, which attempted to model the economy as a fluid, as a water that comes through pipes, and you have investment, and they're redirected at various other things, and so on and so forth. So money has this natural property. When the economy and business is flourishing, it's moving very, very fast. So what about the future? Well, this is not a forecast, but we at Sablier are working on an interesting concept called money streaming, which means that you take the subscription thing and you turn it into a very granular implementation where people can pay each other by the second. And in this example, you can see this cute monkey paying this panda 1 cent per second. And this works quite differently compared to micropayments. A micropayment is something where you pay for some amount of value that doesn't have to be a fixed payment per interval. What we do and what we propose is like a fixed payment per interval. So that is a key word, like the fixed rate, and the amount of money is predefined, but it can be unbound or not. So streams can remain active until there's no money left in the payer's account, or there can be a cap. Therefore, like money streaming is also technology. It also has memory. You have to know why you enter a contract. It does involve like value exchange, but the key difference is that it is trustless. The passage of time itself becomes like the trust binding mechanism. So instead of like having to like pay for something in advance for 1 month, or pay for something later after you get it, time itself becomes that trust binding mechanism, because you can start the stream, and if the counterparty doesn't respect the agreement, you can just stop the stream and the loss is minimal. And this is how our product looks like. This is V1. We are working on a much cooler version, and stay tuned for that for this year. But so far so good. Our system processed approximately $100,000 worth of streams. This is how our graph of streams looks like. So these are actual economic relationships between people. But the key difference here is that they are continuous. So the moment somebody starts the stream, each party has the option to either continue or not. So it is basically like a new way to think about subscriptions, and that was the purpose of this talk. Now, to segue ourselves into the use cases like list and slides, what can you use this for, and what we have seen this used for are like salaries, freelancing, bounties, also subscriptions, and like free trials. You can use Sablier to give your users like a paid trial that is very, very cost efficient, because they can cancel after 1 or 2 days. And we have also seen this used for consultancy and one-on-one help. But the more exciting things are, the things that can happen in the future. And there are few key industries that I have my eyes on. And the first one is work in general. If you can start a stream with someone and you don't have to pay them for like 1 month, how will work change? Can work change at all? As in, will employment be different than that? Can you just like hire somebody for 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 days, or for as long as your stream lasts, and then keep on hiring other people? So that is an interesting area to look on. Then insurance and credit rating. Well, if you are like a low pay employee and you want to get a mortgage, well, does it change? Like, is a world in which you are paid by the second or by the hour or by the day different to a world where you are, hand wavy promise something in 2 or 4 weeks from now? That is an interesting thing that may change. And finally, funding new projects or building reputation could change. As in, if you're like a founder at the beginning of your career and you want to raise a bit of money, well, if you get a stream that can fund your lifestyle and maybe like some bills that you have at your startup, well, that is an easier way for investors to give you money, because they can trust you as you go. So that was it. That's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for watching, and thank you for this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out on Twitter. I'm at Paul R. Berg.